What can you eat for $1 a day? In this time of self-quarantine, we are all limited in our options one way or another. We're no longer able to go to grocery stores whenever we wanted. Some of us lost jobs and can no longer put food on the table. I wanted to challenge myself to eat on an extreme budget of just $1 a day to see if I can survive with very limited resources, a reality that many of us are experiencing across the world, and hopefully inspire you to be more creative with whatever food you might have at home. So for some background, I'm currently in China and $1 is roughly 7 RMB, which gives me a weekly budget of about 50 RMB. Now, groceries are a little cheaper in China compared to the US, but still $1 a day is a pretty extreme budget. Now, some ground rules for myself: I'm not allowed to eat anything I already have at home. That defeats the whole purpose of a budget, right? And I'm allowed to use basic condiments like oil, spices, vinegar, and soy sauce. So, with a brand new 50 bill, let's go grocery shopping. I was gonna like not wear a mask, but people are literally staring at me. I'm gonna have to put this mask on, and I really don't want to because I did makeup for this, and now you're gonna have to see this. My first stop was a little husband and wife steamed bun shop. They sell 6 of these buns for just 14 cents, so I went in and broke my 50 bill. This is my mom's favorite grocer. I danced around and asked for a few prices, and then just gave up my pride and asked for the cheapest vegetable. It turned out to be bok choy for roughly 20 cents per pound. I also got 9 eggs for roughly 50 cents. So here's a little grocery haul for today, guys. We had a bit of a budget surplus. All of these were just 90 cents. It's like 1 o'clock already. I'm starving. Let's make some food. I decided to make a bok choy egg drop soup for lunch. It's incredibly easy. Just boil some water, throw in the bok choy, drop in some eggs, season with salt, and whatever spices of your choice. I usually just use some Sichuan pepper powder. When I chopped the bok choy, I was very careful not to chop off too much because every bit that goes in the trash is a bit that doesn't go in my stomach. And guess what? When you're hungry and on a budget, every single bit counts. When you have a limited choice of ingredients, it's important to play with texture. So I decided to make an egg and bok choy stir fry and got a whole new dish with the exact same ingredients. For the rest of the day, I was trying to get some work done. I didn't feel hungry, but just felt unsatiated and low energy. The next morning, I spent an ungodly amount of time on my phone before finally getting up to make some coffee. I allowed myself to use coffee beans for free because I'm doing a latte art challenge. I know that's cheating, but I had to pay 30 cents for the milk, and that was a big deal. Coffee never tasted so good. I've never been like a huge coffee person, so I don't appreciate the ability of having a coffee whenever I want it as a luxury. Even though I cheated, just the milk in this still cost me 30 cents, which, if you think about it, was a third of my daily food budget. And it's just crazy when you bring it into perspective. A fraction of what I normally pay for a cup of espresso drink can bring me so much more joy. I don't know, this makes me think, like, is it worth it to slave away 9-8 hours of your day doing a job you hate so that you can afford a lifestyle where you can pay for a cup of coffee without thinking about it? I decided to buy some noodles today because I saw a how to make ramen video this morning and wanted to attempt a $1 version with whatever I had. How to make ramen for $1. Well, the key is the audacity to call anything ramen. Boil some eggs for 7 minutes and quickly transfer to a bowl of iced water to stop the yolk from cooking. Poke the eggs with a toothpick, safety pin, micro peanuts, whatever you have. The predominant flavor in ramen is sweet and savory, so I made a marinade with just soy sauce and sugar to send the eggs to spa for an hour. I used regular Chinese noodles to replace ramen. You can make your own, use instant noodles, or just boil spaghetti for a little longer. Who's gonna complain? Okay, the eggs are back, feeling relaxed. Let's use this bath water to make ramen soup. Pepper, chili powder, punch of spiciness, sesame, drizzle, seal in the umami. Thank you, thanks Gordon for a takeover. Say hi to your wife and kids. Okay, let's assemble. I blanched some leftover bok choy for some vitamin C. Ugh, why do you have to take pictures? Let's eat! The last time I had ramen, it cost $17, so this is a win already. This strikes the perfect balance between sweet and savory. I highly recommend you try this. Later that night, I was hit by an insane strike of hunger and went on a little kitchen adventure. Yes, I did get up in the middle of the bath. So I had some noodle soup left over from lunch because it was too salty. So I saved it up in a jar and boiled my last egg to like save this for a rainy day. Guess what? The rainy day is today. Thank you, afternoon Evelyn. I was too lazy to boil the noodles properly, so I tried to cheat and see if microwaving would work. Doesn't seem like it's done. Yeah, no, definitely not done. So, like the savage with no self-control that I am, I finished the half raw noodles in a towel and called it a successful day. Wait, is this? Yes, I saved the soup from yesterday again. Although, in my defense, this time I did boil the noodles properly and even added an egg and some coriander and green onions. Gourmet. Will I die of food poisoning? Probably not. Will I get diarrhea? We'll find out tomorrow. I feel really nice and full, and I just realized I've been neglecting an impact this dollar menu is giving me, where I'm just constantly not full. I've consistently experienced low energy and I had trouble with my workouts. I feel like my relationship with food is more or less a reflection of my hatred towards myself. I would binge eat and make myself feel uncomfortable and then feel bad for the fact that I felt uncomfortable, or I would just not eat for like 20 hours a day. And for some reason, this $1 challenge really made me want to make a change in that. Going forward, I want to try to strike a balance between eating too much and like eating enough so I don't feel hungry. I did figure out how to balance at the end of this video, so stick with me for a little longer. We'll come back to this. Before I sign off today, here's what I got for grocery. I shopped for the next couple of days and fell asleep really excited for the next day because it's dessert day! I've been really craving sweets, so much so that I actually went and bought a plain bag of sugar. I just never gathered enough strength to like go and make desserts because I just suck at making desserts. But I don't think I'll be able to live through today without any desserts, so I found out some really easy like 3-ingredient dessert recipes that are very hard to fuck up. So here's me trying to not fuck this up. We're making a Chinese double-boiled milk pudding, basically a much healthier version of panna cotta. First, heat some milk to about 140 degrees. Quickly transfer to a bowl to cool. This bowl will be the container for your pudding. You can use a cup, a ramekin, anything you would like to eat a pudding out of. Wait for 5 to 10 minutes until a skin forms on top of the milk. While you wait, separate one egg white from the yolk and beat it lightly, just enough to break up any lumps. We're going to sieve this later and lumps will not pass through, but be careful not to whip it or incorporate too much air. Take your cooled milk. You should see a wrinkly skin on top of the milk now. Pour about 3/4 of the milk into your egg white, but leave just enough to keep the skin floating. Now this is when I realized I forgot to put sugar in the milk when I boiled it. I hope this will work. Sift your milk and egg mixture into a container, preferably one with a pointy opening, because we're going to use this to pour this mixture back along the edge of the bowl, precisely underneath the skin of the milk, so the milk doesn't realize it's pregnant with egg whites and sugar. Steam the milk for 20 minutes. You really don't need anything fancy to steam. Any deeper pot or pan will work. Then, turn off the heat and leave it in the steamer for another 5 minutes. And voila! It's time to find out if I fucked this up or not. If you're into pastry, you might be wondering, Evelyn, did you let the pudding set? Well, I probably should have let the milk pudding set in the fridge for a couple hours before serving it. Anyways, let's see if she liked it. Wow, the fruit of my own labor is extra sweet. I also loosely followed a recipe to make a French caramel egg pudding. I did omit a few details because I had run out of patience at that time, but there didn't seem to be anything wrong with my pudding, so I put it in the fridge and waited to enjoy the fruit of my labor the next day. I feel like such a fancy lady eating my French dessert. But you know what gets better? This entire egg pudding cost less than $1/4, and there's nothing I love more in this world than a good deal. I'm sorry, so harsh. Oh. Okay, this is just wrong on multiple levels. It looks like the surface of the moon covered in caramel sauce, traumatized by 3rd-degree burn. Anyways, today, my friends, is the biggest day yet of our $1 a day challenge because I'll be making some soy milk with soybeans. To make soy milk, first grab some beans that have already been soaked overnight. This should be available at your Asian neighbor's house. Then, drown the beans. In case some of them are still alive, blend them. If you have a blender or food processor, your life could be significantly easier, but my beans are claustrophobic. When blending, be prepared to handle sad beans who wouldn't stop crying. If this happens, just stab them with your tripod. They should become cool beans. Some rebellious beans might try to attack you or escape. Keep calm and use a kitchen cloth to trap them. Most beans have attachment issues to cloths. Once the beans are tamed, pull out before they want to marry your blender. Now, milk the beans. Unlike cows, beans can get pretty emotional when humans rape them, dump their calves in the trash, and rob them of their milk. When this happens, transfer the bean mixture between a few different pots and pans. Confuse them, squeeze them, make them question their identity and life's purpose until their feelings are all bottled up in a plastic prison through a funnel lined by cheesecloth. Or just strain the milk into a bottle through a funnel lined by cheesecloth. Either way, this is what you end up with. With the scraps from soy milk, I blended in some flour, 1 egg, green onions, soy sauce, and whatever spices I could gather to make some pancakes. Well, this is my really super late lunch slash dinner today. I am so proud of myself. This smells so good. I'm so impressed by myself. With a very bloated ego, I arrived at day 6 of the dollar challenge. Well, hi! Good morning! Who would have thought you can make latte from dried soybeans when you are quarantined at home with no fresh milk? I did boil the soy milk earlier today. Remember to always make sure your homemade soy product is cooked thoroughly to avoid food poisoning. I also just finished grocery shopping for today. Since I didn't really buy anything yesterday, I went on a shopping spree and bought a bunch of vegetables and spices for the last couple of days of this challenge. Yes. I do have some big plans today, guys. We're going to be making some hummus with the leftover bean paste from making soy milk yesterday. Take about a cup of soybean paste, but really, any bean in your pantry should work here. Add 1 tablespoon of olive oil or whatever oil you have, 2 tablespoons of tahini. Tahini is nothing but sesame in paste form, so if you have any nut in your pantry, peanuts, almond, cashew, anything you're not allergic to, that could work too. Dash in some salt, 2 cloves of garlic, some lemon juice, and blend away. Put on a little garnish if you want to, or just enjoy. I also made some pita bread with just flour, soy milk, and olive oil. Literally make any dough and cook on a very hot pan for about a minute on each side. You'll have some form of flatbread. Some of my bread got baked at 420 degrees for what feels like 7 minutes. For some reason, they think they're chips now. Are they high or something? Welcome to my private Michelin spa restaurant. I just hope this serves as a little reminder that we have the power to make quarantine suck a lot less than it would have, and even with very limited resources, we can still use our creativity to get a lot more out of it. Today is the last day of my dollar challenge. I have almost triumphed. I've mastered the art of quarantine, and it's only appropriate to end this experience with a grand finale. Tandoori tofu pizza. Could I have afforded tofu on my $1 budget? I probably could, but I chose to make it just to make a point that you can make anything at home. It's insanely easy. You literally just need soy milk and vinegar. I don't want to bore you with 10 recipes in one video, so check out the tofu recipe in the descriptions. Let's move on to the masala. I blended some garlic, ginger, turmeric, cinnamon, cumin. It's almost over. Chili powder and salt. Basically whatever warm spices I had, because I don't have all the spices for any one recipe. Some other common Indian spices are cardamom, coriander seeds, mustard seeds, cloves, fennel seeds. So feel free to experiment with whatever you have. Tastes masala to me. I added some volume and fluidity to the sauce with some oil, and this part could either be satisfying or gross, up to your interpretation. This goes to chill for 2 hours, and now we make the sauce. I'm making a traditional pizza sauce from tomatoes, onions, garlic, some olive oil, and salt, because the tanginess of the tomato really ties in the flavors of the masala we just made. And it makes the pizza almost taste like a paneer makhni without the guilt, if you know what I'm talking about. I'm using some leftover dough from yesterday to make the pizza crust, knowing that it will not rise properly. But at this point, I had already spent 5 hours at a kitchen, and you are lucky that I'm not eating raw dough. But if you're looking for a proper pizza dough recipe, I will link my favorite one from Bon Appetit, and it has never failed. What are we using for cheese? The soy milk scraps again. If you have any cashews, I would highly recommend grinding some up and using that instead. But I mean, if soybeans could work, I don't know what would not. Into the oven it goes at 420 degrees until you're baked thoroughly. I mean until it is baked thoroughly, for about 12 minutes. While we wait for the pizza to cook, I wanted to share a few lessons I've learned from this whole experience. I think the biggest lesson for me was definitely that we are not as limited by our resources as we often think we are. And granted, like, I feel like I'm saying this from a very privileged position. I've never experienced a severe lack of resources in my life, so that is a whole different issue. But sometimes I find myself feeling annoyed with little things like, oh, I can't make latte today because I don't have milk. But hey, this week I solved that problem with just some dried soybeans, and I had so much fun making my own soy milk. So I think the lesson here is that when you feel like, ugh, I can't make pizza because there's no cheese, or like, ugh, I can't start a YouTube channel because I don't have a good camera, then try reframing these problems in terms of, so how do I make pizza without cheese? Or how do I make an awesome video without a fancy camera? And I promise you, just with this slightly new mindset, you will not only have a better experience, but also far better outcome with the exact same resources. The next big lesson I learned from this dollar challenge is how to find balance in my relationship with food. Whenever I stress eat and feel bad about it after the fact, is always because I feel like I caved in to my desire and let it drive me instead of the other way around. And the inspiration I got from this dollar challenge is that, oh my god, it feels so awesome to know that you are the master of your desire. I'm so happy that I'm at the end of this challenge. There were so many times when I could have grabbed anything from the kitchen and I didn't. So moving forward, say like next time I want a bag of chips, I would ask myself, will you feel bad after eating this? Trust me, we always know what's the right thing to do. And if the answer is yes, then I would try to imagine how great it would feel if I waited a couple days to have this bag of chips, or if I just put it back knowing that I'm the master of my desire this time. Okay, I think the pizza's almost ready. Let's go take a look. Wow, this is so good. The masala is just right. The tofu tastes amazing. It's almost like paneer. And there's this hint of lemon and fresh herbs that just really ties everything in together. I need to write down this recipe somewhere. Over the past week, I have cooked from scratch to a level that I have never experienced before. It was honestly quite exhausting. So the dollar challenge definitely isn't sustainable for me, and I do realize that there are a lot of people in our community who just don't have an option because they're actually having trouble putting food on the table. So in this special time where we all need to come together and help each other out, I wanted to encourage all of you guys to check out charity organizations in your community, help out, donate to them, or volunteer for them if you can. One organization that I recently found out about, it's called Meals on Wheels. They literally prepare and deliver food to the doors of people who cannot afford to buy or prepare food themselves, mostly seniors or people with chronic disease. During this time of pandemic and self-quarantine, services like this and organizations like this especially need our support. So I have linked their donation website below. Please feel free to check them out and do what you can. Thank you so much for coming along with my journey. Maybe consider subscribing to pressure me into actually making a video every week. I'll see you next time, guys. Bye!
I'm good, she good, we good, it's all good, and that's good, that's good.